Welcome everyone. Happy Saturday. I'm the Gray Strega and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Saturday, November 30th, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread? First two cards we are starting our day off with today are, we have here, we've got our Nine of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our King of Cups in its reversal. So, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what we've been seeing right now in relationality to some of this work. I'm just going to say it. We are in the retrograde. It's frustrating. It slows things down. It mucks things up. It can feel very frustrating. But what occurs in those modalities wherein we navigate frustrations? It is through the navigating of frustrations that we are able to navigate and have breakthroughs. For masculine and feminine energy, this is hitting a little bit different. Again, bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For feminine energy right now, there's a lot of this feeling of fastidiousness. That is needing to be navigated. That's the best word that I can find for it. It feels nitpicky. It feels like a lot of that nitpicking. Why do we see so much of that energy of being energetically nitpicking? Particularly and especially because I want to say we've been talking a lot about the sensor space of the feminine, doing a lot of this energetic strength recall, feeling that point of comfortability. And a little bit of that point of comfortability, we've been telling you, remember how I told you there's that feeling of like not being able to put your finger on it, right? Working through a little bit of that energetic nuance, if it were. I keep getting the message of like trying to find the words, right? Trying to put one's finger upon something. So a little bit of this work that we're seeing even now, I need to stress it. For a lot of the feminine energy, you often get this feeling like right before you're about to have a breakthrough, right? I know how frustrating it is, but it's because feminine energy is in that modality that they're looking for something that they're having a hard time putting words to. So what do we do? And this is really important for feminine energy right now. Don't let that energetic frustration divert you from your own objectives. Don't let it distract you to a certain extent, because there are a few things to note here. Good is better than done to a certain extent. And a little bit of that feeling of trying to move to a place of perfection. Remember that perfection is an ideal. It's not a location, right? It's something that is adaptable. But there's also but you can have that adaptability as long as you're moving towards into integrity. So I see even now there could be a lot of the feminine energy that is focusing on knocking things off of their to-do list, getting a lot of things done right now. Make sure that you're prioritizing feminine, because again, this is a bit of the beauty of the retrograde. Some of that slowing down, if you will, it can be positive, right? If you need time and suddenly time is available, that is a blessing. So don't let yourself feel stagnant in anything that feels like it's moving slower than you would ideally desire right now. Let that kind of become the wellspring of creativity or possibility. But it does require you to have to take, I see a lot of the feminine energy taking things into their hands to a certain extent to bring something forward in that way, right? While for masculine energy right now, again, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, this is more emotional. You're feeling this more in the vector of your emotionality at this time. There could be a lot of this, and this is why it's really important that the counterparts recognize the difference between what one is one is feeling within, which is versus what one is experiencing without. Because I see even now, and this has to do more with that same feeling of like egoic shedding that we saw that was occurring yesterday. A lot of this masculine energy, I mean, coming into I keep getting the reality of one's own feelings. Like, I see a lot of masculine energy prioritizing their emotions in a way that they haven't before. And I need to stress this because this is what I see that's happening right now, because there's a little bit of a maturation process here happening as well. This is the masculine energy really working through the depth and the capacity of their emotions, like working through their emotional language. And when we are in that space where we energetically face our feelings to a certain extent, I see that this is like a rough embrace on the part of some of the masculine energy, particularly and especially if this is masculine energy that's healing from that, that false narrative that one has to move away from emotionality if one hopes to be in a masculine vibration. This is a lot of heavy work because this is the masculine energy that's healing in a deep degree, but it's painful in the process, because that's often what happens when we come into inner child healing. It requires us to reparent ourselves to a certain extent. So and this is having a different impact across the frequencies. Masculine, I mean, for the energy deep within divine union right now, and it's interesting because I almost hear the counterparts saying different things to one another, which is feminine, and again, acting as clear mirrors for one another. This is the feminine saying to masculine, your feelings are valid and important. Your feelings, so long as you are communicating them in a way that are building bridges, like that is the observational point in recognizing and identifying that they have intrinsic value, that they have intrinsic meaning. And I think that even there, that ability of communicating through those things, like I see that there's a lot of communication hurdles that masculine may be having right now in articulating of the emotionality or their feelings. For feminine, this may be more of the masculine reaffirming feminine's own sense of saying to feminine, your intrinsic value is not in what you bring forth, but who you are, right? You'll note that these are the same messages that were being cross-given to one another prior to this point, right? You see this? Like this is the energy now giving back the energetic gift that they were giving each other a few months ago. They're returning it back to one another when they need it, because that's what we do in healthy counterpart energy. We don't have to be everything all of the time. We look towards a counterpart and say, how can I help you right now? How can I be of energetic service? While for masculine and feminine energy right now, coming into divine union, a lot of this work that we're seeing right now coming into divine union, this is the energy that I just feel like there's a lot of clumsiness here. There's a lot of bumping elbows. There's a lot of this discomfort that's potentially occurring because this is the energy that is learning to navigate a deeper level of intimacy with one another. And when we're doing that work, it's hard because it's uncomfortable, right? I see even now there's anxiety here. I need to point this out. These are the energies that are growing closer to one another by embracing their own ick. You know what I mean? They're embracing their own ick, because this is the feminine that is coming towards masculine, not from a place of a facade, right? This is the feminine that's maybe saying to masculine, I'm not energetically perfect. And this is the masculine looking to feminine and saying, I've got heavy emotions that I don't often show. But are these the energies that are trying to hold that false sense of self up? No. These are energies that are finding each other in those imperfections. And what are they reaffirming to one another along the way? We don't move into partnership because we're perfect. We move into partnership because we find ourselves on the same pathwork of desiring perfection. And that's one where we embrace each other's imperfections, right? It's not that sense or space of saying like, as long as you fix this, everything will be fine. It's the energy of saying, I accept you where you are. And I love the fact that you're not satisfied with where you are, because I'm not satisfied either. But our job isn't to like build into that sense or that vector of being critical towards one another. It's embracing how we can assist one another along the way. So these are the energies that are like really helping one another. And that help, right, that feeling of help comes from the space or place of giving each other emotional and spiritual and energetic support. While for masculine and feminine energy right now in separation, a lot of this energy in separation right now, I'm just recognizing and identifying, there's trepidation here. And I see even now what's difficult about this retrograde for the energy in separation is, it's coming in waves to a certain extent, right? Like, and you have to recognize this. Healing, that's often what we feel when we're going through healing processes. Some days are better than others. Some days are hard, some days are easy. This is why it's really important, especially if today feels like it's one of those days that's like a bit of a slog. I have to point out, there were some, like yesterday's energy was wild. I still haven't necessarily recognized. I heard somebody mention that it might have to do with the Schumann resonances, but there, like the energy yesterday was like off the chain to a certain extent. It was just kind of all over the place. So a lot of this work that we're seeing even now, it feels like even for the energy in separation, there may have been like, I see that there may have been like a lot of emotional unpacking that was occurring yesterday for energy and separation. So it's not uncommon after you've had like, when you've spoken about or expressed something, to feel a little bit of that uncomfortability, right? And so I see even now that navigating that to a certain extent is a bit of this work. And again, for masculine and feminine, it's more of that same sense. Like, this is the difficulty, is this has to do more with that nature of embracing the self in all of its flaws. Imagine that you are perfect. A good partnership, a good relationship does not require us to be perfect. It requires us to be accountable, right? It requires us to be present in recognizing what those energetic flaws are that we're working on and being able to navigate through them. And so I see even now, like some of these connections that are forging, like in separation, like the energy that's here healed is almost forging, like in separation, like the energy that's here healed is almost forging, like in separation, like the energy that's here healed is almost a little sardonic, but also acceptance that frustration is longer. Right? So just be a little, I want everyone to be a little kind to yourself today, because some of this energy today, it feels clumsy. It feels like getting down on yourself. Send a card for today's spread. Two of Swords in its reversal. And a lot of this here, I just want to stress this. Even here, and this is important, I just see a lot of the energy in separation right now, healing in very profound ways. And some of that work is cutting the energetic cords of what feels like it's not energetic, like what's not restorative to a certain extent, right? And this is a continuation on some of that work that we saw and observed in relationality to those hard truths, right? Those hard truths that we identified during the Taurus cycle, like like Taurus, like not the Taurus moon in Scorpio is what I'm speaking about. Because remember, we talked a lot about that sense or that space of feeling the energetic weight in something, right? And something that feels fundamental. And I see even now that for some of this energy in separation, I feel like some of the energy in separation is landing upon or being able to find, like I remember how I said the energy deep within divine unions is trying to find the words for something. The energy in separations found them. I even see right now that there's some energy that may have inadvertently landed on the problem in past partnerships via the explaining or expounding upon them with the new energetic possible counterparts. Like one of those moments where you say something and suddenly, like inadvertently, you have a little bit of a revelation or something, or you say something and someone responds back to you in a way that gives you a perspective that you haven't seen before. And so that's why I see even now there may be a little bit of this, that can be hard, right? Because I see energy right now in separation absorbing something, like absorbing something that was said that is adding some point of clarity, or seeing something in a way that it feels like it's energetically clarifying. And, you know, and I have to say this, like some of this work, it feels painful, because this is, and we talked about this a few days ago, like the cleansing of the wound, showing, like almost showing someone a wound and saying, being like, where'd you get that? And someone being like, well, this is what happened. And then being like, that sounds awful. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's something about that here where like that modality of recognizing, I just see even now it's reaffirming, and it's reaffirming from experiencing compassion, right? When we articulate something that we're holding accountability for from our past, and another person brings us the gift of compassion, you know, that can feel bittersweet, because I see even now that for some of the energy in separation, that observation in what was within one's own ability to control versus what was outside of one's own self to navigate, like it's difficult right now. But like again, the ability to overcome an obstacle is first identifying and recognizing what that energetic obstacle is. For masculine, I see that it may be more identifying those internal things. And for feminine, I feel like it may be understanding and identifying the external ones. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union. This is just energy, just like shedding. But I need to stress this, like it's uncomfortable, but it almost feels liberating. I have to say that here, because I see even now that sense or space of reprioritizing. Like when you have a new priority, you can kind of look back at the past self and be like, well, you were prioritizing was like wild. It was like not the right thing. Like, you know, a little bit of that work that we see for the energy coming into partnership or deeper divine union right now. Like this is the energy that is understanding the shape of what that partnership is. And that's that letting go process that feels like a relief, because it doesn't feel like something that you're doing begrudgingly, right? This is the energy that is like recognizing the clumsiness that they're having as they kind of become closer to one another and being appreciative of it. But it's just reaffirming their own energetic commitment in relationality to taking that step. While for masculine and feminine deep within divine union right now, this is more, you know, this is more of that same energy. Navigating frustrations outside of the self, trying to navigate potentially even those outside of partnership. Like again, some of working on this egoic space, like that sense or that place of identifying or trying to help. I almost see like trying to help another, like help themselves to a certain degree. That can sometimes feel frustrating, right? Because I see even now that a little bit of that work is trying to find the words, right? And this is the energy that's doing it both for the self, but also to try to help those around them. Fourth and fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our King of Wands in combination with our Emperor card. So a lot of like, this is like a lot of, and I'm not surprised to see this, because you have to recall in our readings over the last few days, we did see a lot of that feminine energy, like a lot of the work on the feminine space. This is now the masculine energy, like doing a lot of the same work that we saw the feminine was doing just a few days ago, right? Specifically and particularly, and I want to say this even now, like what's like, and we can talk about this masculine energy. Like it's I need to express this, like, and we just need to pay a little bit of credence here. It's really hard. Like it's hard for masculine and feminine energy to be on spiritual journeys, right? It's really it's hard for those energies to be on those journeys of the self. But sometimes it can be a bit more difficult for masculine, because I see even now like the ability to communicate and express that, potentially even to other masculine energies. It may feel very frustrating, right? It may feel like there are communication barriers. And especially and particularly, I want to say this, just as we saw, if you'll recall, we saw a couple days ago, feminine speaking to other feminine and feeling that vitality of connection, on like recognizing the similarity of their journey. One of the things that we're seeing effectively now within this is for a lot of the masculine energy doing or working through that work to a certain extent, it may feel more difficult because the masculine is more in the space of desiring to see like tangible, like the tangibility of something, as opposed to recognizing the emotional weight, right? It's like it's working in the ineffable space, right? And that can be very hard. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like I can almost see a lot of the masculine energy being frustrated as they're trying to talk about something ineffable, and some of the masculine energy around them being like, like looking like just having a very it's I hope the masculine energy understands this, that's working through this, because I see even now, like I almost hear some masculine energy saying they just wouldn't get it. It's hard, because it's a journey of the self to a certain extent. And I see in that way, the one thing I will say is it does feel like there's that sense or that space of working on trying to heal. And for the energy deep within divine union, this could be a lot of that sense of looking at the past, looking at emotional wounds that occurred, and that moment of understanding someone that tried to do their best, right? Those wounds can sometimes be the hardest to heal, right? Because the intentionality, like we don't sometimes get wounded because there's the wounds we experience where someone was trying to wound us, right? And then there's those unintentional wounds, right? Like the pathwork of someone trying to make us strong and accidentally wounding us along the way. I feel like there's a lot of masculine energy here that's working on from that kind of vector. And that's heavy. It's hard, right? But it's also can be reaffirming, because that's a masculine almost looking at a different way of doing something and saying, I know it's going to feel oppositional, but I have to ask myself, if something is oppositional, is it because someone's prioritizing different things, right? While for feminine energy right now, this is the feminine energy really working through, and this is why I see even now the feminine energy working through the throat chakra to a certain extent. And this is the feminine energy that's healing via not being afraid of making someone feel energetic, like uncomfortable. Like just, this is the feminine energy saying, and this is not the feminine energy trying to make someone feel uncomfortable. But I see a lot of the energy of the feminine healing by saying, it's not my priority isn't the comfortability of others. And not because that's a feminine saying that the compassion, the love that they give is the expression of making someone comfortable, right? Like that adaptability point. And that's the feminine that is kind of getting into a space of strength recall by saying, my adaptability is a gift. It's not a given. And for the energy deep within divine union, I see even now, like so much of that work that is being facilitated upon is articulated via the prioritization of the energetic connection, or what something means to someone, right? That's how we show like care and appreciation, is we recognize what another appreciates, and we hold that in esteem to a certain extent. Now, for masculine and feminine energy coming into, and that's why you see even now so much of that prickliness, if you will, like so much of that prickliness, it's hard because it feels like some energy deep within divine union navigating some others' prickly egos, right? While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, I just see a lot of energy coming into divine union, articulating and saying, I didn't expect it to feel this way. Why is the energy saying that they didn't expect it to feel this way? Because that difference, the difference of what something looks like on the inside versus what it looks like on the outside. Like this is understanding like what's in the like what's in the kitchen that like makes something look so perfect, right? It's understanding all of that work. And so we see even now there's a massive amount of healing that's occurring here, because especially, you know, I see even now that so much of that energy building into a deeper connection, it's much the same work. And again, a little bit harder for masculine right now than feminine, because, you know, this is not the masculine energy that says, I just expect to walk into the perfect relationship. I just expect to walk in and find the perfect feminine. This is a masculine saying, if I desire a garden, I need to plant seeds. If I want a garden, I have to tend the earth. I have to water the things that I care about. And so we see even now that there might be something about masculine moving into divine union that feels counter-oppositional, because it's the masculine energy that is recognizing and identifying what that work feels like as to what it may have looked like on the outside, right? For feminine, a lot of that modality of feminine coming into divine union right now is triggering, because it's reminding the feminine energy of, if this is masculine energy that truly desires to co-create with feminine, and they're doing that work together with their own hands, it's immediately triggering, because it reminds the feminine of all those experiences in the past where the masculine may have expected the feminine to just create the perfect scenario, just be perfect, like masculine in the past saying to feminine, just be perfect and everything would be fine. Why aren't you being perfect? I'm mad at you because you're not being perfect. I gotta go because this isn't perfect, So again, a lot of that energetic strength recall, but it's frustrating to feminine, right? For masculine and feminine energy coming into, like in separation, this is a lot of energy that's approaching each other with trepidation, because it's really easy to say that you desire a perfect partnership, right? Everybody desires a perfect partnership. What are you looking for? Perfection. Do you know what it takes to have perfection? I see the energy looking at each other and being like, I know you want flowers, but do you know how to plant a garden? I know you want a cake, but do you know how to bake? Like there's a lot of this energy here. Right? And so we see even now, like this is how these energies are coming towards one another, right? With a sense of trepidation as it relates to what is being articulated versus what it energetically takes. Welcome to the retrograde. Continuing to get clarification between our Nine of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our King of Cups in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with Judgment in its reversal, right? And even here, this is why the energy in separation is taking their time. Because I see even now that and this is happening for both masculine and feminine in separation, working, and I want to say this too. There's a little bit of this trepidation here, and I'm gonna listen to me very carefully right now. I don't want the past, because this is the past do not assume that the past is occurring again. Allow the past to inform. Don't allow it to overshadow. Because I see even now that there's so much of this energy saying, I'm still not fully energetically recovered from the past. I need to tell you this. You will never, I mean this with all the love in my heart, you will never be recovered fully from the past, because the past is a part of you. You feel it because it is a part of you now. It's not going anywhere. It resides within you. So we see even now that so much of that work, being able to navigate that to a certain extent, this is the work of integration to a certain extent. This is the work of recognizing and identifying the past that changes us, that we often return to, but we don't return to it for the sake of feeling that sense or space of desiring to go back to it. We go back to it because we're trying to learn more from it. We're trying to understand, learn more from it, to understand ourselves more from those energetic experiences. Because via understanding ourselves more from those experiences, we provide the context of not allowing to have to navigate those energetic lessons again. So we see even now that a lot of this energy is building into that context of potentially new connections that are forming with a lot of introspection of the past. But this is the articulation, I see even now, the defining quality of those connections that refer to the past that they don't want to return to. That's not perseverating on the past, right? It's persevering through it, right? Perseverating is fixating upon it again and again and again, not being able to energetically let go. When we persevere through, we feel it rise back up within us and we observe why, and then we move forward, right? That sense of, again, identifying and recognizing, learning more in that journey. A lot of that work that we see, it allows for that ability of saying, I hold on to it because it's a part of me. I hold on to it because I'm not energetically ashamed of it. I hold on to it because that's where my lessons came from. So even here we see that there's a little bit of that sense building into the new partnerships, the new possibilities. This is a lot of energy that is reorienting because they're looking at the past in different ways. Now continuing for energy right now coming into divine union, this is the energy being like, I didn't expect it. I've never felt this way before. Well, congratulations. If you're moving into a partnership and you're saying that you never felt this way before, that's progress. That's progress, right? Because if it's uncomfortable, I told you, there's a little bit of this energy going, is this an acquired taste? Because if that's that sense or space of being like something different is occurring here, this is the energy that may be introspecting on the past, because now in the space of something happening and it's healing in the context of building forth into it, it's giving you you're like, oh, this is what was going to work. That didn't, again, the points, like when you move forward to a certain extent and you move into that modality of having a breakthrough, then every moment prior to that was not a failure point. It was just one more opportunity where you are narrowing and understanding a lesson in even a deeper way. So we see even now there could be a lot of this energy that is looking at the past in a way, but not weaponizing it, not holding each other accountable, not refusing to let go of something, but utilizing it as a tool. Going in there to grab a wrench, like that sense or that space of understanding. This is the energy that holds on to the past, not with bitterness, but with purpose. While for energy deep within divine union right now, this could be working through some of that energy of some like circumstances or situations wherein, your own pathwork is such. And this is like, I'm getting the message that, and this is what's so hard for energy deep within divine union or across all the spectrums. You can't heal something that someone else does not desire to heal. You can't fix something that another person does not believe is broken. And so for feminine and masculine, I see that is something that is happening in different ways. And that modality is, I feel like, the amplification of the energy, feeling the similarity of frustration in working through situations or scenarios wherein you see a pathwork of rectification in some way, shape, or form but there's no energetic possibility of like healing something if someone else can't see what that is that needs to be healed, right? So I see even now that these are the energies that almost bring something forth to each other to get up to see, like to say, is there something here I missed? Like, is there something here I've done incorrectly? Because this is the situations or circumstances wherein another, like they're coming towards one another with their frustrations, because the gift of a healthy counterpart connection is one that you appreciate another person's perspective. Continuing to get clarification between our King of Cups in its reversal and our Two of Swords in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Yeah, we've got here further clarity. Listen, there are swords here in today's deck, but they're all reversed right now. That's good. We've got our Nine of Swords in its reversal, right? And so I want to say, it feels like a kind of day where there's a lot of like second guessing of the self. You know, that's okay. Second guessing is not necessarily a negative thing, because second guessing is the amplification of anxiety as it relates to one's own intentionality, right? It's you know, when you're trying to be conscientious, unfortunately you're going to be second guessing yourself every step of the way, right? Like it's not the most comfortable feeling, but it doesn't mean that you're not moving in the right direction to a certain extent. You know, I think that a lot of this work here, this is more of that energy that we're seeing about making peace with things. And again, the gift that the counterparts deep within divine union give one another is, I keep seeing, you make something easy. You make something easy. And that easement, right? That easement isn't based upon or built upon someone that does not care, if you will, right? This is the energy that says, I appreciate that sense or that space, the gift that we give each other is the easement that we feel. It's because when we're healing, our love typically feels like we're making it energetically easier for someone, right? Because we're not operating from the ego. I mean, we all have to operate from the ego to a certain extent, but we don't let the ego interfere and get in the way of the health, like that, like, and this I see even now, like I can see some of the energy being like, is this me or is this my ego? I almost see the energy deep within divine union unpacking things and saying like, am I feeling frustrated about this? Like, can you tell me if this is me or if this is my ego here, right? Like this is the energy that's like getting a little bit of that like clarity via the communication with those they care about in that fashion. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, this is the energy that's learning how to shed the ego that doesn't feel like it's healthy as they're coming deeper into partnership. Now, I got to say this again. The ego is not negative, like necessarily a terrible thing. We need the ego. The ego when the ego protects the things that we are integral about, right? That is the ego that becomes the hero, because that's the ego that holds on to something and says, I'm holding on to it because it matters, right? Like, but if the ego is doing that for like the smallest of things, then it can feel like that's where it becomes disruptive, right? And so we see even now there's a lot of these, like, I want to say there's a lot of these energetic walls that are coming down for energy coming deeper into divine union. But these are the walls that feel like they're coming down because they feel like they're like, it's like letting the light in. You're like, oh, good, this room just got so much bigger, you know? Well, it's difficult for masculine and feminine, because for feminine, it's letting go of that feeling of perfection. For masculine, it's letting someone in emotionally. For continuing for the energy and separation right now, I could never get past that wall. I can see some energy right now building into new energetic connections in separation and saying, I don't want to be here. Well, why aren't you here? Because I was trying to grow with someone and I hit a wall. I hit a wall. And despite my best efforts, I could not get that wall down. And actually, I see even now some energy being like, I knew a way I could get that wall down, but I would never do that. It wouldn't have been right. that it wouldn't have felt like a healthy wall that was being torn down, because unless we're tearing those walls down together, it will feel like an energetic violation to push forward towards someone in a way that they're not ready to build into, right? So these are mindful builders that we see right now in separation, because it's not just the sense of recognizing and identifying and saying, I want to create with someone, but they're saying, I know that in order to create, we also have to be ready to change. We have to be ready to let go of things. And if this is the energy that says I couldn't move closer to someone because I refused to let go of something that wasn't important, or I couldn't move forward because that person had a wall up as it related to their emotions. This is the energy that feels like they're grieving. They're grieving. They're saying, I'm sad about it. They're not hiding their emotions. They're also saying, I'm not going back there, right? This is the energy going, I'm not going back there, because that is not the journey. Like that is like that. If we're not doing that work together, then it doesn't feel like a celebration. It feels like a demolition, right? Continuing to get clarification between our Two of Swords in its reversal in combination with our King of Wands in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Page of Cups. So I see even now a lot of the energy and separation being like, yeah, I cared about someone. We completely different priorities. Like this is the energy going, you can't build with someone if you don't have the same priorities, if you don't have that same prioritization on what is energetically important, right? And so we see even now for masculine and feminine, this may be a little different. This may be a little different because I'm seeing that for feminine energy, that sense or space of feminine being like, I'm conscientious. I would love to move forward with you, but I need to be patient because I know that sometimes energetically someone says they desire something with me, but they don't truly want that, or they don't understand what it takes to actually have that. They want me to create it for them, and then they want to walk into it and be like, this is nice, and then they want to leave again. Like this is a lot of the energy of the feminine saying to masculine, I am not a revolving door. Right? We talked about this yesterday. I'm not in the job of building roller coasters, right? This is the feminine energy being like, some people want roller coaster. I'm not looking for roller coasters. I'm looking to grow a garden with someone, right? Masculine. Like I see masculine sometimes like being like, I used to think that a roller coaster was the sign of love. And this is masculine being like, I've got my head on straight now. This is a masculine energy saying like, I recognize that love isn't the how much your emotions move. It's how stable you can build something. Because when you build something stable, no matter what happens, it's going to move regardless. But when you build something stable, it can navigate strong winds, right? So this is the energy of masculine saying, I recognize that the joy of creating something starts with a strong foundation, right? A strong foundation from which you build that allows for the joy to flourish as you continue to grow. So we see even now that so much of that work, this is the energy that's finding one another and encountering on those journeys and speaking with the frustration of where they find themselves and almost trying to articulate and say to one another, I know what you're afraid of because I've experienced it too. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, a lot of this work that we see with the energy coming into divine union, this is acquired taste. I just keep hearing acquired taste, something that is changing, that once it changes, it's hard to describe to others because it's hard to put your finger on it, because that's the energy that, again, experiencing the joy of what they're creating together, the amplification of what is shared that starts to prioritize and feel like that is where the joy springs forth from. This is the energy that even now it's like it's understanding the difference between how something looks on the outside that is easy versus what feels like it is wholesome and is difficult in the process. While for a lot of this energy in divine union right now, I just see a lot of this energy in divine union like, either healing from past circumstances or situations where another person's unintentional path work like did not intend to hurt but ended up hurting like inadvertently. Like this is what can be so hard. And this is why we always have to be very, I want to say, mindful to a certain degree. Because even in those spaces and places, this, I see even now, this is working through energy around the divine union, like energy within, like, it feels like the amplification and recognition of trying to understand another's priorities, right? And if someone has different priorities than you, it can be hard to put into words what is difficult or what is problematic. And so I see even now, like the gift that is occurring there is if like energy is trying to articulate or work out like the difference between what can be fixed and what cannot be fixed. This is the energy that says it's via V communication, right? Continuing to get clarification between our King of Wands and our Emperor card in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our 10 of Wands in its reversal. I like this specifically and particularly. It's easy energy right now, but it's also that sense of moving towards what feels energetically easy to a certain extent. Like this is giving me a lot of this is giving me a lot of that feeling of recognizing and identifying what feels adaptable versus what feels inflexible. Like there's just a lot of this here. And I see even now like the gift of the energy deep within divine union articulating to one another and this is more of that frustration point in navigating obstacles. I want you to remember during these retrograde periods, an inch, like sometimes, an inch makes all the difference. Just moving something along in like the slightest way, like give yourself that point of appreciation. Like make sure today you're writing down the things that you're getting done and not feeling overwhelmed with what you have to do. Because that power of like I told you, that could be a little like this is feminine. I see getting hard on themselves because they're not getting everything done that they want to get done in the way that they want to do it. It's the retrograde. Things move slower right now. Build into that context of appreciation for everything that you're doing. For masculine, I think that this is more of that sense or that space of, I want to say like this is like this is like masculine. I almost see like a lot of masculine energy deep within divine union right now, trying to come to like the aid and support of other masculine energy that may be in some modalities where they need some emotional support at this time. I see so much of this masculine energy here right now. It feels a lot, it feels very much like the masculine trying to like articulate something to other masculine energy that they're having a hard time understanding as it relates to their own emotions. Or this is masculine energy coming to the aid and support of masculine energy that's having a little bit of that difficulty or challenge. Continuing for energy coming into divine union, this is just letting go. Like this is the energy that's coming into divine union and just letting go of anything that doesn't feel integral in the process, right? Well, for the energy right now in separation, I'm just seeing that for a lot of this energy in separation right now, like so much of this work that we're seeing has to do with, I want to say, the recognition of how far you've come. And for masculine energy, I want to say that this feels more like a maturation process. Like this is the masculine energy that's appreciating and saying, I'm ready to do this now. I wasn't ready before. But this isn't the masculine that says, I wasn't ready before. This is the masculine saying, I'm ready because I understand. Right? This isn't the masculine being like, and the timer, now is my time. This is the energy of the masculine that's worked into that space of prioritizing such that it doesn't feel Like, again, this isn't masculine energy feeling like moving into divine union is something that they're dragging their feet towards. This is the masculine energy coming into divine union that appreciates, like, that truly values and appreciates the stability that one can find there. While for feminine, this is what I mean about seeing that masculine energy in a point of adaptability, and it feels like a bit of energetic strength recall. Because this is the feminine energy that's working forth and building with masculine in such a way that it makes a lot of those past energetic connections feel like they weren't prioritizing building with feminine in that way prior to that point, right? And this is the feminine energy that doesn't feel, I can see even some of the feminine energy being like, I don't think it was intentional on their part. You know, when someone doesn't have the right priority point, it's not like someone wakes up and goes, I'm deciding to prioritize this today. You know, it's like their brain it's like someone's just not, it's like they're half baked. It's like they're not ready yet, because they're more in that sense of moving through, like almost like a child. You almost start looking at them like this is the energy of the feminine healing from past energetic connections by being like, I was looking at someone who I thought was grown, but really they were acting like a child. So that was a child, and like I told you, like that's that ego. Like when the ego is working not working healthily, it'll often feel like the child that is operating under the guise of what a grown up would appear to be, but making choices much like a child would. Continuing to get clarification here. And this is more of that same conversation that's happening right now in energy and separation. You know, that's why I see even now, like, that ability, this is an energy that's just like, this is the energy that says, I would like to have fun with you. I would like to take you out. I would like to have a good time. But first I need to make sure that we want the same things, right? This isn't the energy that's doing it in reverse, saying, well, we won't worry about those details. This is the energy saying, let's make sure we're on the same page before we start to like build those connections. Continuing between our Judgment card in its reversal in combination with our 8 of Swords in its reversal. One card to clarify. Yes, like 6 of Pentacles in its reversal. So a lot of this energy that we're seeing right now, you know, it really does feel... and the retrogrades are funny like this when it comes to time, because things slow down, but it also feels like you don't have enough of it. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of that type of energy that we're seeing here. So I see even now that for a lot of this energy in separation, and I got to say this even now, the beauty of it is there's something about this authenticity. Like what is the gift that the energy in separation is giving one another in separation? They don't want to waste each other's time. You know, like this is how the energy is identifying one another, right? Because this isn't the energy that's looking to build with something because someone has nothing to do and they feel like doing it. This is the energy that says, my time is a gift. And because my time is a gift, I value your time as well. So let's make sure we're in that space of prioritizing the gift that we give each other, because I want to articulate to you what I want. And if we don't want the same things, it's a gift because I don't want to waste your time. And I don't want you to waste mine. While for masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, this is a lot of this energy. Like I just see the walls coming down to a certain extent, right? So much of this work that I'm identifying that is occurring right now for the energy like coming into divine union. This may be the observation of something that you were prioritizing. It doesn't feel that important anymore. You know, like a lot of this work that we're effectively seeing, this is not the energy that says I have to give something up in order to move into divine union. It doesn't feel like you're giving something up if you just don't care about it that much, right? This is the energy being like, and I see for feminine, like there's something here about the amplification of seeing masculine in that point of being adaptable, that's allowing for a lot of closure. But it's hard in those moments because this is the feminine energy almost experiencing those spaces or places wherein they may have tried to build with masculine, and masculine was more like my way or the highway, this way or not at all. Like this is feminine building into a connection with masculine now, and masculine's like, you know, when we're creating together, you also get a say. Like when we're creating together, it should be shared. right? And so this is feminine energy looking back on the past. And the reason this is coming forward is because it's looking at energy of the past of masculine that may have felt less adaptable because they were navigating something like, again, what happens when a child doesn't want to play? They refuse to play if it's not the way that they want it to be. Like, I'm going to take my ball, I'm going to go home, like kind of thing. And this is how some of the feminine energy is healing, because they're looking at it very much in that context, right? How are you going to hold yourself, like, like, and this is the energy of the feminine saying, I don't, and this is some of the energy right now deep within divine union that I see even now, like navigating and working through something to a certain degree. I see energy saying to one another, am I being a child here? Like, I see the energy almost navigating something and saying, am I the one being a child? Right? Because if this is the energy working through obstacles right now, and they're, like I told you, a lot of that, that inquiry on the ego, like that checking, right? This is the energy that doesn't just check their ego at the door. They have the counterpart check their ego and say, is this my ego that wants to do this? Or am I in alignment here, right? And so we see even now that for a lot of that energy doing so, like that ability and that recognition point, this is what feels fundamental. Continuing to get clarification between our Nine of Swords and its reversal in combination with our Page of Cups and its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our 10 of Cups in its reversal. So we've got double 10 cards today. But I need to point this out. Just because this 10 card is in its reversal, this is the energy that says, like, this is the energy that says, I'm trying to keep the energetic peace does not require one to be peaceful every step of the way, right? Like, this is the energy this is why I see so much of this struggle point, because this is the energy, and I told you, especially because this is the energy of the feminine that's working on understanding and recognizing the feeling of security in making others feel uncomfortable. This is the energy I almost see of the feminine, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, that almost articulates and says, if I'm making someone energetically uncomfortable, I want to make sure I'm not doing it from a place of my ego. I'm trying to make sure that I'm doing it because it's something that is integral, right? While for masculine, I see a lot of the masculine articulating and saying back to feminine, or building that pathwork of saying, like, this is that journey of saying that when you're moving in a pathwork of purpose, you have to be ready to let, like, others feel uncomfortable to a certain degree. It's not easy, right? And this is the masculine that's learning that same lesson via their emotions, right? While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, this is the energy that's seeing what it takes to make something look perfect. And for the energy in separation right now, all I keep seeing here is a lot of understanding that is occurring right now during this retrograde cycle in truly understanding the mechanics of why something from the past did not work. Continuing to get clarification between our Page of Cups in combination with our 10 of Wands in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification with our Strength card. You see that? We like to see that here, because this is a lot of that contemplation, right? A lot of that introspection. Why do we contemplate? Why do we introspect? We're feeling that sense of building into a sense of strength, right? Making peace with things often does not feel peaceful. It feels very hard because it allows for that sense of identifying one's own integrity in relationality to what one feels one is firm about versus what one feels one is flexible to. So a lot of this work today across all of the frequencies. Continuing to get clarification between our 6 of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our 10 of Cups in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. There it is. There it is. This card here. Look at this. This card, this Death card, has been in its reversal ever since we started the retrograde cycle. Like I told you, a little bit of this difficulty that we've been experiencing with this retrograde cycle, it feels a little bit like red light, green light. It feels a little bit like stopping and going, if you will. So much of that work that we're seeing here, this feels difficult. But again, this is the energy that is moving with intentionality, right? An energy that moves with intentionality. It's not that sense of like, it's the reconsideration point, but it's a reconsideration point in feeling the security and stability of what you're doing that allows you that moment to feel that sense of being ready to make a change, right? So for energy deep within divine union right now, a lot of this energy, it feels like it is, feeling the security of taking an energetic step, feeling the stability in making some kind of energetic change. But a lot of that is coming from that sense or that space of feeling the support via the counterpart, right? Like these are the energies that work towards something in such a way because it's the recognition point of what is adaptable versus what is integral. For masculine and feminine coming into divine union, this is the energy that is feeling that uncertainty as to what the future holds, because this transformation that they're experiencing coming into divine union, it feels like it feels inevitable, because this is the energy saying, I can't go back because I can't stop caring about this, right? Like we move forward in such a way that we change in the process of the context of the present. So there's a lot of this energy that feels like moving into divine unions, almost like stepping off into the unknown, because it's not knowing what the future holds, but knowing and recognizing the sense that you'll be with one another as you do so, right? Like this is the energy that's embracing the changes of the self in the process. While for masculine and energy right now in separation, I just see a lot of closure occurring. I see a lot of the past. This is what we want to see during retrogrades. We want to see the fact the past comes back to the surface, to be able to introspect on it, to be able to meditate upon it, to feel the surety of where you are in the present that allows you that step forward towards what is ahead of you. Continuing to get clarification between our 10 of Cups in its reversal and our Strength card in its upright. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with our 2 of Wands in its reversal. Now, masculine and feminine energy in separation right now. Like a lot of this I see has to do with like, it's like communication, I see even now there's a little bit of this energy in separation right now that is having some kind of fundamental breakthroughs in communication in the present that are articulating or shining a light on the communication issues in the past, right? If we build into the context of having healthy if like we start building healthy communication, if we start communicating with someone in a way that we never communicated before, it starts giving us all like that clarity. Closure comes in many different ways. So we see even now that a lot of this work that's happening in separation is the dawning realization of the communication hurdles that may have been interrupting a healthy energetic connection. You cannot have a healthy energetic connection without strong, solid communication. And if somebody was arguing with someone that they were perseverating over the consistency of communication, I just see someone articulating and feeling in separation and saying, no, that is not a high bar to set. That is an energetic standard. So if someone's in that modality of not feeling that is the same, that is a lot of this energy I see that's recognizing and saying, yeah, they wanted to maintain an energetic connection, but they weren't willing to maintain the standards that is required to create one. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't want perfection and not want to put the work in as it relates to what it is that you're aspiring and desiring for. So I feel for a lot of the feminine energy right now in separation, this is why this feels frustrating, because I just hear the feminine energy saying, I'm not a revolving door, right? I'm not a space or place where that ability of doing so is one that communication comes in and something positive comes out, and it doesn't need to build into a space of consistency. This is how a lot of the feminine energy is healing in this way. This is feminine energy saying my accessibility is a gift. It's an energetic privilege. It's not one that requires being energetically kind to anyone that desires it, right? So we see, and a lot of the masculine energy in separation, appreciating and saying to the feminine, I recognize and identify that. I see that too. This is the masculine saying to feminine, I've experienced modalities where I've tried to build that consistency towards feminine. But if this was the feminine that felt like that was like not appreciated, if this was the feminine that was not in that modality of wanting to build forth back towards me, like this is the energy saying like that is not something that we expect from one another. That's something that we create together. So I see even now a lot of this work is allowing for new possible energetic connections, but also massive closure points in the process. Because again, this is the energy that looking back to the past and reaffirming to one another and saying the past is something that I look upon. It's not something that I'm desiring to go back to. For energy coming into divine union right now, this is just the energy that's feeling the difference between, like I told you, what something feels like on the outside, what it looks like on the outside versus what it feels like to be within it, right? And this is the energy that almost says, I didn't realize it would feel this way. I didn't realize it would be this like continual, like this energy of continual change. Partnership, healthy partnership is not a stagnant place. It's not when the book closes. It's not happily ever after. It's where everything begins. So we see even now that a lot of that energy being like, I thought that was that, like everything, like once that happens, everything's smooth sailing. And someone being like, this is actually where the work begins. While for a lot of this energy deep within divine union, the recognition of that work, the recognition and understanding of what it takes, and potentially having to communicate that to those around you, right? Like almost amplifying and articulating that. I see even now, like there's a lot of this energy deep within divine union that I almost see someone saying like, if they don't get it, I don't know how to express it to them. You know, like that's what feels so difficult sometimes when you're trying to communicate to someone that hasn't navigated the same energetic lessons as you, because you'll try to tell them something and they won't hear what you're saying. You'll try to express something to them and it'll just fly over their head, right? Or it'll just like fall on the deaf ear. So I see even now like there's a little bit of that work that feels frustrating, because this is the energy that's like working through either trying to talk to someone about something and they're not seeming to understand, or having that ability of articulating and seeing what another's energetic problem is and being like, you know, I need them to like recognize what it is, because it's like, if not, it just feels like, you know, if the ego, like when we try to help someone and we tell someone and the ego pops up, we're like, they're not going to hear it. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit frustrating here. And I feel like that's, again, recognizing and identifying. First, you have to recognize an energetic obstacle so that you can kind of figure out like the best way to approach it. Final card for today's spread between our Death card and our Two of Wands in its reversal. We've got here that's good. We've got here our Four of Pentacles in its reversal. So this is all about where one puts one time, effort, and energy. Like I just keep seeing that there's a lot of this work, new approaches. It's the ability of recognizing where an energetic hurdle is that's helping energy right now recognize what is needed either to overcome, like what is needed to overcome an energetic hurdle, or where one can put one's energy in a better way. So I see even now, this is the transformation energy that we want to see during a retrograde period, right? This is all of this prior to this is recognizing and getting the full shape of understanding the energetic obstacle so that you can overcome it, right? And that's either one about like, you know, again, and this is the difference between like the Taurus energy or the Scorpio energy, you know, more energetic force towards something, or circumventing or finding a way around an energetic problem. Final card, and that's happening across the frequencies. That is both the understanding that this is like I see a lot of energy in separation going, oh my gosh, right now in separation, being like, I see it now, and recognizing whether that was a surmountable problem or something that was never going to change is what's allowing some energy now to let go. It's not letting go of something, it's understanding something in a bigger way. That's how we let go. We understand it in a bigger way. While for energy coming into divine union right now, this is the energy that's letting go of what doesn't feel like it's necessary by prioritizing the connection. It's changing them, but this is the energy that says it doesn't feel like a change. I'm already changed. The things we love change us. The things we love change us in ways that we can never expect. And this is the energy that says, like, feels that inevitability from a place of joy. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within divine union, this is the energy just being adaptable. When you're building on a pathwork of purpose, all it takes is everything. Bottom of the deck on this reading right now, the World card, and it's upright. This is interesting because we had the World card popping up in reads the last few days, and it was in its reversal. Productivity. Like, productivity here is what we're seeing. Recognizing and identifying, feeling that weight of understanding, recognizing what, like, that sense or that space. The one thing I want to say, like, this is the gift. Don't be mad at the retrograde. It sometimes provides gifts. I feel like a lot of this energy is the acceptance of what is out. Like, we talked a lot about this over the last few days. The grace to recognize what is outside of one's own control to change, or what would move. I'll put it this way: maybe not what's outside of one's control to change. What would move you off your own integrity to try to change, right? Like, what feels like the grace to recognize that when we come into that sense of the self, understanding this is where I stand, this is what I need to accept around me, and this is a lot of the energy that's kind of like, working through this right now. I want everybody to write a list of everything. Like, if you get anything done in the retrograde, you deserve a medal. So I want you to, like, give yourself that point of appreciation. I don't want to see to-do lists today. I want to see got done lists. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading and pay for the reading. Also, keep in mind that my readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber name at the point of payment. Also, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. Also, a couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our recent class on the Chariot card. Our next tarot class will be held on Wednesday, December 18th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with an exploration into the Strength card. If you would like to become a part of our tarot class program, all you need to do is head over to my Substack, graystrega.substack.com. Your paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our classes each month. You will also have access to the full library of our previous classes when you become a subscriber. That is almost over 8 hours worth of material there for you to review when you're ready to receive it. It's not necessary to catch up. I will be giving a recap in each class as to what we've studied thus far. The classes act independently of each other. But when you're ready to receive it, it is there for you. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything that we've studied thus far. And if you are a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you will also receive a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein I will assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage going forward. One of the things I tried to do with these classes was making them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned tarot reader. It's definitely available to anyone on any level. So I want to thank you. And also, if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, I would encourage you to follow us over on your subscriber-only Discord channel, which is available to you as a TikTok subscriber. There you will find a special perk that will give you an additional discount on that Substack subscription. Even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings and services. I post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my full in-person events as well as my online live schedule. You'll also be notified as to my giveaway information. Thank you. My giveaways, this is the last day to enter the giveaway to win a private tarot reading with me. If you would like to enter that giveaway, head over to the link tree in my bio. There is a 2-minute travel survey there. Filling out that travel survey will grant you an entry into the giveaway. But If you would like to increase your chances of winning, go ahead and forward that survey to a friend, because when I pull the winner, I'll be gifting a reading not only to the person that wins, but also to the person that referred them. So I want to thank you so much if you've already entered, and I wish you the best of luck of winning this month. Finally, I want to let you know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are classes specifically designed for those students that are seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, because those classes are customized per client. Those can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series. That is 4 45-minute classes, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I want to thank you so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again